How's it going, everybody? It's Pilot Flaming. We are back with another FPL video, and today we're going to be taking a look at the new fixture changes, which pretty much give us the majority of the fixtures that we need in order to figure out what we could see going forward for game weeks 34, game weeks 35 potentially, doubles in 36, doubles in 37, and potential blanks in game week 37 as well. We have some provisional announcements here for 34 and 35, and we also have basically pretty much the full picture apart from whether or not City will double in 36, and that will just be determined this weekend almost certainly. And we'll take a look at all those different possibilities and go through some potential transfer options or potential chip options as well for those various double game weeks. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe channel if you are new or haven't done so already. It greatly helps out the channel, as well as turn those notification bells on so that you can get the content as soon as it is readily available. Also drop us a follow over on Twitter so that you can keep up to date with any and all FPL news, from price changes to injury news and anything in between, as well as give us a follow over on Twitch so you can join us live for our preview and deadline streams. We will be having a deadline stream tomorrow as it stands 1 hour before the FPL deadline as per usual. There'll be a link or a comment pinned down below. The link to the stream is also in the description, but there'll be a pinned comment down below let you know the time and place for that stream as well. So without further ado, let's talk about our partners for this video with Manscaped. This video is brought to you by Manscaped, the best in men's below the waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped have just launched their 4th generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0, alongside their Performance Package 4.0, which also includes the Weed Whacker hair and nose trimmer for those pesky little hairs that are getting out of hand, the Crop Preserver for anti-chafing to make sure that you are as relaxed at all times, the Crop Reviver for maximum conditioning and toning to make sure your jewels are as buff as possible, disposable shaving mats, as well as the premier travel bag for your on-the-go grooming, and lastly the anti-chafing boxers, which I can personally say are extremely comfortable and keep you cool under the highest amount of pressure. What I found the most impressive is that the Lawnmower 4.0 features ceramic cutting-edge blades to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology, so you can now have that added security when venturing into uncharted territories. The upgraded trimmer also includes a multi-function on and off switch that can engage a travel lock, and also when you are venturing into those uncharted territories, it has the ability for a LED, a 400K LED, a very strong light that you can switch on and off so you can get that more precise shave. So make sure to join over 4 million men who trust in Manscaped with this exclusive offer, 20% off and free worldwide shipping, using the code FLAME20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com using the code FLAME20. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. So as you can see up on the screen, this was a fixture amendment for the Premier League this season. So it says, dependent upon the outcome of their FA Cup semi-final, please note the following new dates for league matches involving Chelsea and Crystal Palace are as follows. So the Manchester United versus Chelsea game, which was originally scheduled on the Sunday, 15th of May, that would have been game week 37. That game is going to be moved forward to April the 28th on the Thursday, assuming that Chelsea are going to be making it through to the FA Cup final. So we'll talk about that in a second, but it means the game is going to be pushed forward, as well as the Aston Villa versus Crystal Palace fixture, which is on the Sunday as well at the 2 p.m. kickoff. If that game was to be moved forward because Palace were to make it to the FA Cup final beating Chelsea, that fixture would be moved forward as well. As to which game weeks those are, that'll be game week 34 for Chelsea and game week 35 for Crystal Palace. So if we move over to one of the tables here, this is by Lego Mane. Make sure to follow him over on Twitter. He does fantastic work. And we'll also take a look at Ben Krellin's table as well. That's it right there. We'll take a look at that as well. And they give you different breakdowns and they can show you different things in here as well. So this is the matrix that he has. And you can see on the right, there's only one fixture to be basically put in place. And that's the Man City versus Wolves fixture, and we'll talk about that in a bit. And as you can see above me, we're going to go through some chip fixtures or chip kind of placements and where you should potentially be using your remaining ones after we've gone through how the fixtures are set up. So, going into double game week 33 this week, the gray fixtures are the FA Cup semi-final fixtures. Those are quite important. So basically, we'll talk about those in just a second. But with these new fixture changes, if Chelsea were to beat Crystal Palace and go to the FA Cup final, that would mean that Chelsea would, as you can see here, have a double versus West Ham at home and Manchester United away. As well as Manchester United would also double, so that would be a back-to-back double for Man United versus Norwich and Liverpool in Game Week 33, which starts tomorrow. And then they'll play Arsenal and Chelsea, Arsenal away, Chelsea at home. So a bit of a, not the greatest double-double for United, but could potentially be worth hanging on to some of their assets. Now, if Crystal Palace were to upset the apple cart, as it were, they would have a double in Game Week 35, where they would play Southampton and Villa, both away from home. And Aston Villa would have a very nice fixture in 35, where they would double versus Norwich and Crystal Palace at home. So that would be a very, very good set of fixtures there. They would also double in that instance as well. But the likely outcome is that Chelsea will beat Crystal Palace in the FA Cup. Just percentage odds here that we're going off of. So the most likely outcome is the fact that Chelsea will double in 34, they will double in 36, and they will only have a single game week in 37. It would mean that Manchester United would double in 33 and 34 respectively. They'd play Brentford and Brighton. They would have a single game week in 38 on the last day of the season, but they would blank in 37. For Crystal Palace, what this would mean is that they would still have their double in 37, as per normal, and they would only have just the single game week fixture in 36. Aston Villa, they would have their double as per normal versus Burnley and Liverpool, and then they would double versus Palace and Burnley at home in 37, with singles leading up to it, apart from game week 33, where they know that they're blanking. Now, that's a bit of a mouthful. So basically, the likely outcome is Man United is going to have a double in 33 and 34. Chelsea will have a double in 36 and just have singles in 37 and 38. They will also have a double in 34. And then Villa will have a double in 36 and 37, with Crystal Palace having just the double in 37. So, with that being said, what is going to happen if Liverpool and City's game go either way? Now, according to Ben Crellin, who we're going to move over to his table here quickly, and we're just going to zoom in on it a little bit so we can see it a little bit better. According to Ben Crellin, he seems to think that if Man City, which we can look at their fixtures here, we can see fairly unlikely double game week. He has it in like this like pinkish looking color, 30 to 50%, and then the more likely is in 36, because he's favoring Manchester City to beat Liverpool. So he thinks that if Liverpool were to lose to Manchester City in the FA Cup semi-final, which is on Saturday, because the fact that West Ham have gone through in the Europa League, he thinks that it makes it'll be more sensible for them to have the West Ham or Wolves fixture in game week 36 in the midweek, which would mean Man City would double in 36. If Liverpool were to beat Manchester City, then Man City wouldn't have they would have the availability for the FA Cup final in this slot here, game week 37. We can go back to Lego Mane's table and just minimize it a little bit. You can see here in game week 37, FA Cup final. This would be where the FA Cup final game would be played. And then also in the midweek here is where the Europa League final. So they still need to keep this open if West Ham were to get there as well. So the likelihood is, the reason he said or thinks that it would make more sense that if Man City were to go through, just alleviate all problems, like straight up, and it would make it so that even if West Ham did or didn't get to the Europa League final, it would give them ample time, as well as wouldn't cause any crazy quick turnarounds for a final for them. So if Man City won, it would not only alleviate the weekend game for City, but it would make it so that they only have just the single versus Wolves in there before they play the last game week of the season, rather than having some potential crazy like Tuesday, Thursday shenanigans or something like that. Don't think that's a likely possibility, but it's still potential. Like it's not going to happen. So they would definitely throw one of the fixtures in into 36. Whether Man City versus West Ham goes into 37 in the midweek or 36 in the midweek, that's still yet to be determined. Me personally, it just depends on how they're going to do it. Either West Ham have to have a midweek game and then they have nothing on the weekend, and then if they make it to the Europa League final, they'll have a game midweek, and then on the weekend for the last day of the season, the midweek game in 37 being the Europa League final. Or if it was pushed back, then they would have the City game, or they couldn't have the City game in the midweek, because they would have a scenario where if City was in the FA Cup final in 37, well, West Ham can't play them, so City would have to play Wolves in midweek. So there's literally no possibility now. Just kind of going over this, if West Ham make it to the Europa League final, or if there's a potential for them to make the Europa League Cup final, which there is every right for them to do, but then playing so well versus Lyon, although Eintracht Frankfurt could be a much different proposition, could be more difficult. West Ham, if they were to go through in that, they can't play midweek because that's when the Europa League final is. And if City beat Liverpool, they can't play on the 37 on the weekend game, unless there's some like weird Tuesday, Thursday kind of craziness going on, or they play Monday, and then West Ham would have 2 days turnaround for the Europa League final, which just doesn't make sense. So if City were to win versus Liverpool, we could basically guarantee that the Premier League will put that West Ham fixture in 36, which would mean that City would play their FA Cup final in game week 37 slot, and in the 37 midweek or 37 plus slot, they would play Wolves and then play Aston Villa, and then the following weekend they'd have the Champions League final if they were to make it there, as they are through to the semi-final. We'll be playing Real Madrid. So we pretty much have all the information. City win, City have a double in 36. City lose, they probably have a double in 37, because they can then now play West Ham on the weekend, and that seems what is likely to happen. Now, they could still easily just throw that fixture into 36 anyway, because that's still a possibility, because the ties for West Ham for the next round, I believe for the Europa League, are in the midweeks of 34 and 35 for the semifinals of the Europa League. I can double check that by looking at Lego Mane's page here. And yes, you can see here, midweek of 34, Europa League or European games, and then European games here as well. At the time, I think Leicester and West Ham were still potentially... they were playing at the time when he updated this table. So West Ham will be playing Eintracht Frankfurt, and Leicester are playing Roma, I believe, in the Conference League. So, yeah, that would be the only place that it can go. So, again, City win, double in 36. City lose versus Liverpool in the FA Cup. Then they'll double in 37. And then the fixtures will go on from there. The likelihood is Chelsea will win and City will win, you would think. But, again, could be a bit up in the air. But we now have all the information that we need going forward. Now, one nice thing that we're going to move over to the FPL transfer, FPL.team transfer page here. It's a little bit cut off, I know, but I want you to see the options on the side for potential players. Now, this is how my team is set up. We're going to talk about some potential chip options. So, I'm going to go through the chips that I don't have, basically, at the moment, which is the free hit and the triple captaincy chip. Triple captaincy chip, I would say probably use it on Mo Salah in 36 if you aren't free hitting there, or use it on somebody in 37 if City were to lose to Liverpool. Just basically the next available double that you have that you're not free hitting, I would use it there, or you're not wildcarding and not bench boosting. The best option, I think, probably is going to be either Bruno Fernandes this week, but I know a lot of managers are free hitting then, or in 36 of some kind. So it is going to be a bit difficult. Or you could just, wheel it out on the last day of the season on Kane versus Norwich. That could be an option as well. So if we actually move down here, there is you can apply scenarios on FPL.team, which is quite cool. So I'm going to check the box here that say that Chelsea win, Chelsea get the cup win, because that's the more likely possibility, and it'll update the fixtures here. So for free hitters, I think what you're going to want to do is, depending on your rank, I think it depends on how you play it. If you're in a really, really good position, so you're in like the top 10k or something like that, and you're doing well, I would say you probably don't go full bore. If you're free hitting, I would say probably still keep the likes of a Kane or a Son in your team. I said still think keep Cancelo, still think keep Salah, still think keep Trent, but still go for like a Bruno, go for a Newcastle defender, go for a Maddison, go for a Schmeichel, go for these sorts of players to fill out your team on the free hit. If your rank isn't very good and you want to push into the top 100k, or you're just not doing very well, I think you just go all out. I think you go Fernandes, Ronaldo, and De Gea or Telles. I think you go triple Newcastle. I think you go a couple of Leicester in there, and then you maybe only have 1 or 2 single game week players in there of like note, so like a Cancelo or a Trent to like cover your kind of your bases there for just defenders that are like good. That would be my kind of suggestion, because you're going to have players that are going to be low owned, and they're going to be differential picks. The only thing is, you're not going to gain much rank from having Salah or having Trent or these sorts of players. But in the double game weeks, you can get players that not many people have. You can get to them very easily because you have the free hit. So I would say do it that way. For myself, I'll cover this right now, because of the fact that the chip that I want to discuss is now is the bench boost. So there's a lot of managers that are looking to potentially bench boost this week, or potentially bench boost in 36/37, depending on if they want a wild card into it or if they want to do it this week. I have the potential to do both, so we'll show you those options here. So if I wanted to bench boost this week, obviously I need to get rid of the 3 players on my bench that aren't playing, which would mean getting rid of, I have 2 free transfers, so this makes it quite nice. So we could go to, let's say, I'm just going to do some examples. I can go to Armando Broja. He would come in for Dennis. I would get rid of Rafinha, and I would go for, I'm just going to go for just some standard players that everyone's been looking at. I would go for Maddison. He would come in over, let's say, Antonio Rudiger. And then I would go for, let's say, a Fabian Schär, or somebody like that. Just a double game week defender. It could be a United defender. It could be anything you want. And who would I play him over? I probably would bench him, to be honest. I would play Robertson or Cancelo, and I would even play probably Rudiger over a Newcastle defender. So this would be the bench boost that I would be looking at potentially. I would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 double game weekers in the team. I would have Mendy and Antonio Rudiger versus Arsenal at home. Dennis, who is now going to play because Kucho looks like he's out for the season with his, I think it's a hamstring injury of some kind, versus Brentford at home. So hopefully he starts there. And then Schär with the 2 fixtures there. So not a terrible bench boost. Chelsea could easily keep a clean sheet versus Arsenal. Let's say that's 6 points and 6 points. That's 12. Dennis, probably not expecting more than a goal, maybe. But let's say he gets the 6 points. Then you're looking at 18 points. Schär with, if he gets a clean sheet in 1 and 2 points in the other, that's another 8 points. You're looking at a pretty good bench boost. But the likelihood is it's probably going to be closer to probably 12 to 16 than it is going to be 26 to 30. So that's kind of the expectation there. Does it mean that I can also get a better wild card after this? It certainly does. But with the wild card that I potentially want to do, it's probably just worth bench boosting the cheaper players that I want to get in later on anyway. And we'll talk about that in just a second. So let's say we don't do that. So I'm just going to reset this game week. We'll put Smith Rowe back in. We'll put Ramsdale back in. And we will. We're currently playing Dennis with this setup. But I have 2 free transfers, so I'm going to use them anyway. So let's say let's say I just want to use the 2 free transfers because I'm going to be potentially wildcarding in 34. We need that option. So let's just go Watkins. We'll just do simple transfers. We won't take any hits. We won't do anything too outlandish here. Out for Dennis. We'll get rid of Rafinha as well. And we will go for, let's say, a James Maddison. We'll put him in, and we'll bench Antonio Rudiger. And then we'll have Maddison with the vice captaincy. We'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 double game weekers. We still have some cover on the bench. We have a decent looking team. Looks fine. And then you can wildcard out of it afterwards. If you wanted to take the hit and go for another double game weeker and just because and not bench boost, that's still an option too. Like I could easily go I don't know, I could go Aitnuri to Tellez as an example. You know, again, it would still be for the -4, and then I could take him, I could put him in instead of Robertson, get that extra fixture. Yes, Robertson has a very good fixture on paper versus Man United. Do I think Man United are going to score? Probably, but it still gets the extra double game weeker in there. That's a possibility that I could do. Likelihood is I probably won't do that just because United's defense doesn't look great at the moment. No Varane, and potentially Delo playing over Wan-Bissaka means United are probably as attacking as a backline as you could possibly get without Varane being in there. So that's going to be moving Aitnuri back there. Robertson would come in over Antonio Rudiger, and it would be something like that. So that'd be my 2 free transfers. Now, if I'm going to bench boost in 36, I need a wild card in such a way to where I can set it up for the coming weeks. Now, I've checked the box to where it shows that Manchester United and Chelsea are doubling in this week because I think that's the most likely outcome, and we'll kind of stick with that at the moment. So what we would do is we put our Chelsea defenders back in there. Just makes the most sense. We still have Salah and Robertson versus Everton. And the team on paper doesn't look half bad in terms of what we can do for that game week without using any transfers whatsoever. We could, if we wanted to, get a another Chelsea player if we wanted to go that route. If we thought that Maddison wasn't the best option, we could get rid of him. We can go from Smith Rowe to a 7 million midfielder. That doesn't get you a Chelsea midfielder, so we'd have to go with somebody potentially worth a little bit more. Aitnuri could get us one of Chelsea's defenders for sure, so we could go for the likes of a Thiago Silva if we wanted to. We can go real risky and go Alonso. So Alonso would come in over the likes of Smith Rowe. And then we would have the triple Chelsea defense there, and we would play the rest of the team straight up. That's something we could do as well. And we don't have to wildcard, and we could still keep the United assets. And then with we don't have to go as heavy on Chelsea with them just having just the one double game week. Maybe we can go an Aston Villa defender or something else like that. Instead of like the likes of an Alonso, because I think like James and Rudiger or Rudiger and Mendy or something like that is probably better than having 3, because maybe we want a Chelsea attacker. That's also something we could do as well. So if we reset this particular game week, again, Mendy comes back in, Rudiger comes back in. If we wanted a midfielder, and let's say we wanted to play somebody else instead of Smith Rowe, let's say we think Aitnuri might do well versus Burnley, we can then get rid of Maddison and we can go for a punt and go for Havertz as an example in midfield. Maybe instead of the likes of don't think we can go up to Timo Werner if we wanted to. Taking out Kulusevski will probably be a risk, so maybe it's only really Maddison that could go, or like I said, you can go like the Alonso or the Thiago Silva type route. But let's say we wanted to wildcard for if we weren't going to bench boost, we could do a lot more with it. So what we could do is we can go super cheap. We can go Ben Foster in goal. We can go, instead of Dennis, we can go to the likes of Greenwood from Leeds. We can get rid of Weghorst and go for Gelhardt. We can go for like a Kane up front. Gelhardt would then drop the bench. This is if we bench boosted in 33, by the way. Aitnuri would come out. We would go for Alexander-Arnold. We can go for a cheaper defender, but still a very good one in Aymeric Laporte. Ben White could come out, and instead we can get Reece James. Edouard Mendy could get dropped down to a goalkeeper that's going to double in 36. And the likelihood would be we would go to either, we would use Ramsdale, who's currently in our team, but probably more likely is Kasper Schmeichel, who, if we go back and look here, he has a double-double in 36 and 37, so that's who we'd probably go for. He would play that week versus Aston Villa at home. Probably think that would be a better fixture for him. Rudiger would almost certainly play here as well. Bruno Fernandes would come out of the team. And he could go down to the likes of a Martinelli. And then maybe as our third Chelsea asset, potentially, this is where we can go for a Havertz or a Mason Mount. Smith Rowe could also be, this is it, again, if we're bench boosting, a Dewsbury Hall, as an example, could be, you know, the option here. And then we still have some money to play around with if we really wanted to. And go for something a bit more, maybe a bit more expensive in goal. We could still go for Mendy if we wanted to. Let's kind of explore that idea. So let's say we did want Mendy. We still have too many players from Chelsea, but we can go from Havertz and go to the likes of a Phil Foden, as an example, and still have 0.2 million in the bank. So not only do we have double Liverpool, triple City, triple Chelsea, double Spurs. We still have a cheaper midfielder in Martinelli in there, and we have cheapest chips on the bench, basically. So that looks to would be a very, very good team going forward. Even though Dewsbury Hall has a double in 36 and 37, we still have basically what would be a full double game week team. And if we move that forward to 35, team still looks really, really good. You just play the same 11. 36, you can go in there with 2 free transfers. Remember, in the scenario where City win, City have a double as well. So again, we would have a full doubling 11. We would captain Salah or Kane or whoever we wanted to, and then go from there. And if we felt that, hey, look, we wanted, let's say we knew that Jota was going to play or something like that, maybe we can make some potential adjustments. Or let's say, you know, Reece James wasn't getting the minutes that we wanted or whatever, we can then adjust those things as we can into this week, because you never know what you might need going into a double game week, even though things like this looks, you know, fantastic on paper. Now, a little bit more difficult going into it if you want to bench boost. So let's discuss that now. So if we wanted to bench boost, we would have to get players on the bench that we can basically make it better for us. So the likelihood is we'd have to, unfortunately, get rid of Mendy just because he's expensive. But we'll try to see if we can work around it. So Ben Foster doubles. I'm just thinking, I'm going with the cheap players right now. Aït-Nouri, we'd want him to be Reece James. We definitely want him to be Reece James. Ben White could be a cheap doubler there. Dennis would be a very, very cheap forward. Maybe we potentially have to keep him because he's one of the very few forwards that double. But we could also go for like a Timu Pukki as an example, who's a similar price point, who would double and also plays Newcastle in 34, which isn't a bad fixture. Fernandes would almost certainly be somebody else like let's just put Martinelli in there because I think he's very good for his price point. Kulusevski could potentially stay. Smith Rowe could go to a Dewsbury Hall as an example. We still have quite a lot of money in the bank, obviously from downgrading Fernandes. In the forward line, we can have Kane if we want to here, if we really wanted to go that route. Weghorst could go down to a Dennis. It would have been Cucho originally, but that's kind of what we're going to have to go with if we want to bench boost. Still have 1 million in the bank. That means Robertson can go to the likes of could go to Alexander-Arnold. And then we'd have to make up 0.2 million somewhere in that vicinity. Where it would most likely be the likes of maybe Maddison gets changed for somebody just to be a bit safer. Maybe it's the likes of Mendy getting downgraded. So if Mendy went downgrade to Schmeichel, that gives us an attacking option for our midfield, or maybe it allows us to upgrade one of our defenders, like Ben White as an example. Maybe Ben White goes to I'm not entirely sure, but maybe if we think John Stones is nailed, he can go there. Maybe we can go for a Joel Matip as an example. So we'll just throw him in there just for the time being. We'd probably not play Dewsbury Hall, and we'd probably not play Dennis. And Pukki versus Martinelli, both home fixtures. United aren't great at the moment. I'll just put Pukki in there just for funsies. Put Martinelli for a sub. We'll captain Salah, and then we'll vice captain Kane. So this is if we're going to look towards a potential bench boost. And what would it look like? Well, we'll skip 2 weeks ahead, and this is what it would look like. You would have a team full of double game weekers. Would be much lighter on Man City, much lighter on Chelsea. We'd only have the 2 rather than the 3 potentially that we would want. City would double in this game week, which again, we would want more City players probably than this if we could get them. James Maddison, if we didn't want James Maddison, we could also get the likes of Gundogan, who's a 7.1. We can go for Bernardo Silva, who's likely to play both games. Foden, we'd have to stretch a little bit more if we wanted him. Or, like I said, we can, if we didn't want Matip, we can still keep Ben White. And we can also easily in this game week just play Martinelli instead of Ben White. And then, again, that's the wild card. And then it would be a situation where we'd have 2 free transfers, and we could, if let's say Maddison is injured or something happens, or if we didn't want Maddison beforehand, instead of Maddison, we could have Foden in this position. We can also easily, like I said, get a Chelsea midfielder. All these sorts of things are possible, and it doesn't look half bad when you look at the bench. So Dennis has 2 fixtures, most likely going to play both, versus one team that's pretty good at the moment in Crystal Palace, one team that's not so great in Everton. Dewsbury Hall, been playing well, seems to be the 90-minute man, is getting further and further up the pitch. 2 very good fixtures at home. Ben White could keep a clean sheet versus Leeds, although Arsenal haven't been looking great. And then Foster, you don't really know what you're going to get out of him. But again, that bench boosted all those players are probably going to play both games. They're all going to probably play at least 60 minutes. Dennis will probably get a yellow card in there somewhere. So if you're looking at 14, 15 points from that bench boost, anything more, you're golden. So yeah, it looks to be quite possible to do so. Although you are still cutting out the likes of, you don't have a Son, you don't have a Laporte. Maybe you don't have a Mendy. You miss out on Saka because you have to go down to Martinelli. You also have a much more bulked out team in terms of Pukki and Dennis aren't the greatest. You'd rather have just non-playing forwards and have, you know, a better midfielder than Dewsbury Hall or a better defender than Ben White. Those are the things that you can do. And then lastly, for the free hit, 36 for 30 or 37, it literally all depends on your team. I can see it going one of 2 ways. Either you have a situation where you're bringing in City players and you free hit them out in 37 when they have just a single game week versus Wolves, or vice versa. You go without City and you free hit them in for the one-off week. That's kind of my opinion on that. But no, I've been rambling on a lot for this video, but let me know what you think down in the comments below. Who do you think is going to win the FA Cup semi-finals? Do you think it's going to be Chelsea, Palace, City, or Liverpool in their respective games? And what do you think you're going to be doing with your teams going into this week? Because I have 2 free transfers and I could potentially not wildcard next week, although I think I'm probably swaying more to doing so than not. Let me know what you think. Where you free hitting? Where you wildcarding? Are you looking to bench boost this week or save it? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. And that's going to do it for our fixture/team announcement lineup video all in one for Gameweek 33. During the regular season, it's £25 for the membership, and that lasts the entire year. And during the off season, they give a 20% discount. But if you have missed that discount, fear not, you can still get the membership for £25, and it's fantastic. You can see the membership area just behind me. You have a bunch of different stats that you can use, powered by Opta stats, and create your own custom tables. You have the Rate My Team tool, you have the season ticker, player comparison tools, a whole array of things that you can use to help elevate your FPL game. So use the link down in the description below so that you can get access to these exclusive tools to help elevate your FPL game. Sign up now. And that's going to do it for these fixture changes. We've had a lot of these videos recently because of all the different doubles and blanks and all this sort of stuff being chucked in. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe channel if you're new or haven't done so already. It greatly helps out the channel, as well as turn those notification bells on so that you can get the content as soon as it's readily available. Drop us a follow over on Twitter so that you can keep up to date with any and all FPL news, from price changes to injury news and manager presser quotes and anything in between. As well as give us a follow over on Twitch so you can join us live for our preview and deadline streams. We'll be doing a deadline stream tomorrow over on Twitch. That's going to be 1 hour before the FPL deadline. Make sure to check the pinned comment down below on this video to let you know the link to the stream as well as the exact time. As well as make sure to check out the description links for Manscaped as well as Fantasy Football Scout. Fantasy Football Scout is a fantastic members area. We're going to use some of their tables over on the deadline stream as we normally do, and look through some very important things to help make decisions for captaincy, potential transfers in, goals, imminent players that are potentially likely to score this week, and so on and so forth. So it's going to help elevate your FPL game, as well as make sure to use the code FLAME20 when checking out at manscaped.com. It's going to help you get that 20% discount as well as free worldwide shipping for your latest in male grooming. Your balls will thank you. Thank you all for watching, and until the next one, take care.